everybody. Welcome back s'mores to another episode of Beyond the Campfire. I am here with Will the Cowboy. I am Steven the Indian. And yeah, if you're new, we are a cowboy and Indian that talk about ghosts, cryptids, conspiracy theories, and all the like. So if you are interested in that kind of content, please follow us along on this podcast. You can also find us on social media at Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram. Our username is at Beyond Campfire Podcast or just at Beyond Campfire. Should be able to find us there pretty easily. But yeah, Will, what do we have going on today?
Well, we have I would say I think it's kind of fairly short episode, but it is a well-known conspiracy theory we're going to be going into, and that is what's beneath the Denver airport. What's going on at the Denver airport? Is it really just an airport?
I, it's really funny. When you told me that we were doing this episode, I saw that. Um, many of you know I went to London a few weeks ago, but I had an option of not going to London, but instead going to Denver with a college ministry group, and I didn't end up going to Denver. But how funny would it have been if I had actually decided to go to Denver instead of London? And it's just like, oh wow, now we're now we're talking about this. But yeah,
Yeah,
Denver Airport. There's some things going on there apparently, right?
yeah. I've actually flown into the Denver airport once.
Oh, so you've been on site at this place? Okay.
Yep. It was pretty big. We flew in there because Maddie's cousin, they live kind of in the northern part of Colorado, so that's kind of where we flew into, and then they picked us up, and then we drove to their house, and then we flew out of Denver, flew in and flew out, and it is a massive airport. I can see why people think there's something going on, especially when we talk about the construction and some of the other things that have happened there that have kind of like led people down the rabbit hole. So we're not going to go. We'll go into a couple of the theories, kind of go in the history of the location. Um, and that'll be about it. And we'll talk about some of the design features. And yeah, we'll have fun this episode. Maybe some of these theories are true. I have 5 theories on what could be going on. And then from there, so I got the theory, then I'll have evidence and kind of like a little fun fact about the stuff. And yeah, so we're going to hop right into this with how this project became to be. So the original airport was called Stapleton International Airport, and it was very small and congested. And they really wanted to kind of like create a hub for airlines because they're like, okay, people that are flying to like Hawaii or they're flying westward in America. We need a hub. We have like Atlanta. We have the JFK airport. Need a really nice big airport, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they began to plan this in the early 80s, and then they started construction in 89. And yeah, everything kind of went smoothly. However, there were some delays and some cost, like overrunning on some costs that kind of led it to be delayed by 2 years. So it was supposed to be completed in 93, and it wasn't finished till 95. So it took them almost 6 years to build
it. Okay.
And once they were completed with it, they were actually $2 billion over budget.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Airports aren't cheap, I'd imagine.
No, not especially this one. One of the delays that actually led to the $2 billion over budget and delayment on building is they had the idea they wanted to bring this really cool, high tech, state of the art automatic bagging system, which this actually leads into one of the conspiracy theories of what could be going on. However, there was a lot of malfunctions going on. The circuitry wasn't working right. So they just kind of ditched it for regular bagging check-in stuff. I don't know if they have it now. They probably do since, that was 95. So it's probably been upgraded, but they had the idea to use this baggage system. Didn't work. Mm-hmm. Now, when we look at the Denver airport, you'll notice the top of the airport actually looks like it's called like white tents. So you got like little white tents, and it's either supposed to represent the snowy mountains of the Rockies or the teepees of the Indians. There is a blue horse out front. We'll get to Lucifer, as they call him.
Oh, no. Okay.
Yeah. We'll get to him in just a second. But the airport is 25 miles north of downtown Denver. And do you want to take a guess how big this airport is?
Um, Massive. I don't know.
33,500 acres.
Okay.
It's
To be
huge.
honest with you, I don't know how big airports usually are, so I don't know if that's big or small for an
There
airport.
was let me just double check because there was talk of like I think it was they were going to increase at 100 more terminals by the year 2045.
Okay.
Let me make
All
sure.
right. So if we were comparing airports to dogs, are we talking a Great Dane? Are we talking a Chihuahua? Or are we talking somewhere in the middle?
Um, I'm thinking like a Great Dane here.
Oh, so it's a big airport.
It's probably like Clifford.
What? Oh, it's a massive airport.
Steven, like I said, it's 33,500 acres.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't know how big airports normally are. So when you
Yeah.
that number,
So
that I was like, okay, that could be how big airports normally are, or that could be a massive airport. I was like, I really have no frame of reference. Okay, so this is a Clifford, the big red dog sized airport. Okay, now
yeah,
my mind is tracking. This is a massive airport. Got it.
yeah. So the idea for this airport, right now there are a couple project ideas they have for future plans. We've got the Great Hall program and the Vision 100, and then Operation 2045. So the Great Hall program, that's where they're going to renovate and expand the Jepson terminal to kind of add more security, improve operational efficiency, and increase capacity. They're planning to be done with this in 2027. It'll include new arrival spaces for international and domestic passengers, more security lanes, and a large crystal tree. Vision 100 and Operation 2045. So Vision 100 is the Denver airport by 2027. They want to have 100 million annual passengers.
Wow.
And they want to, in 2045, they want to increase that to 120 million passengers for the airport's 50th anniversary.
Okay, so they got some big plans for this place.
They do. There's a lot going on. Maybe they'll fix the because we'll talk about that real quick. One interesting thing about the Denver airport, and one of the theories, the reason why people talk about it, I think I did write it down. Yeah, we've got theory number 4 we can jump into, but yeah, so I mean that's just like that's the history of the place, that's the layout. It's a huge airport. Like if you don't pay attention, you're gonna get lost.
Okay.
Let me, while we're thinking about, let me actually look up because I'm actually kind of curious what's going to happen if I look this up. I wonder how big the Atlanta airport is. Okay. I found my answer. Let me double check and make sure that that is how big. Yeah, I was right. It is 34,000 acres is how big the Denver airport is. Do you want to take a guess how big the Atlanta airport is?
25,000 acres.
According to this, the Hartsfield Jackson Atlanta International Airport covers 4,700 acres.
Oh. Well,
So
okay,
the Denver airport,
you did say Clifford sized rather than Great Dane sized.
yeah. So this is 8 times bigger than the Atlanta airport.
Golly, that is a massive airport.
It's a big boy.
Make
So
it.
yeah. So we'll get into the theories, and then we got a ChatGPT story because we decided to try it. We'll see how well that goes. Our first theory we have, and this one actually has some backing, and I'll read it in just a second. But it's the theory that the Denver International Airport is secretly the HQ for the New World Order.
The New World Order, is that similar to the Illuminati?
They're kind of the same, kind of not really. Like the Illuminati is who's running it right now. The New World Order is actually more of a shadowy elite planning global domination. Some believe there's a massive underground bunker complex for world leaders in case of global catastrophe. So the New World Order is where, like, I think maybe people will correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I think the New World Order is like a group where they're like, okay, we're gonna basically cause the world to end so we can emerge as the true rulers of the world. So yeah.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Mhm. So the reason why people believe this is due to the fact of the Masonic capstone. So when the Denver airport was completed, there was a or when I say completed, because it was completed in 95, in 94, there was a dedication stone placed, and it had the Freemason symbol and mentions a certain name. I want to read through the capstone in just a second.
Okay.
And then, so this capstone reads Denver International Airport. It's got a couple names on there. It says the time capsule beneath this stone contains messages and memorabilia to the people of Colorado in 2094. So you can't open this thing until 2094. And then it's got a Masonic symbol on it. It says March 19th, 1994. And then
Sheesh.
below
Yeah.
it says New World Airport Commission contributors. And it's got a couple names. So because this capstone says New World Airport Commission, a lot of people are thinking, this doesn't exist. Is this New World Order?
I was gonna say, I was like, is that a name coincidence? Is there a group called New World Airport Association? But if there's not, then it's just like, well, why is that inscription over there?
Who
Very,
knows?
very odd.
So, due to this kind of theory, a lot of people believe that underneath the airport, there is facilities that exist. Like I said earlier, a bunker for the elites to hide out, so that when Fallout 4 happens, or Fallout 3, or Fallout New Vegas, they can take over.
There we go.
The reason why this kind of like this theory happens is because, like I said, this thing is 25 miles north of Denver, and it's kind of like away from civilization. And it's like I said, it's freaking 33,000 like acres of airport. And it's like, why do you need an airport that big? Like Atlanta is a hub, but Denver is like a city.
I was gonna say that the thing that's surprising me is like, why would the Denver airport need to be that massive? Because I mean, even me, I sometimes get lost at Atlanta's airport because for me that's a pretty big airport. So to think that this thing is like nearly 8 times larger than the Atlanta airport, I'm just kind of like, why? Like, what on earth is in Denver, Colorado that they would need a facility of that massive scale? So.
And that's why you kind of start seeing all these theories that we're going to go through. The reason why they kind of emerge, because it's like I said, it's there's a lot that just, why do you need an airport this big? Why do you need to be secluded? It just doesn't
Is
add
it?
up.
It's kind of like the idea of those guys that get those giant tires on their trucks because they're compensating for
Overcompensating.
something. So they say. I don't know. Maybe Denver's like, hey, we don't got a lot going for us, so let's just build this massive airport.
Everybody thinks we're just a bunch of or a bunch of potheads.
Yeah. So
Let's build a giant airport.
Alrighty. So
Yeah. Second theory. So, kind of a little bit still leading into the New World Order, there's the idea that there's a secret underground bunker or base underneath Denver Airport. Now, this could be, like we said, a safe haven for the elites during the apocalypse. It could possibly be a military base or like a FEMA camp. But the reason why is because people believe there is a sprawling network of tunnels and bunkers beneath the Denver Airport. And you remember how I told you about that baggage system earlier? So a lot of people believe that the failed automatic baggage system left miles of underground tunnels beneath the Denver airport that they then were able to come in and build these bunkers and all this.
it's really interesting because normally when I think of like tunnel systems, I think of the Underground Railroad here in the U.S., or I think about. I know I've heard of some tunnel systems like in Israel and Palestine, but yeah, to think that there's a tunnel system underneath the Denver airport, kind of crazy to think about. It's like,
I need you to
yeah, I guess
clarify
all
something.
potheads need somewhere to store their weed, right? So,
I need you to clarify something for me. Did you just say the Underground Railroad was an underground tunnel system?
no, well, it's not, but
I know. I thought you said that, and I'm like, Steven, you have a history degree. Don't tell me you think that the Underground Railroad was actually an underground railroad.
no, I know it's not, but
Good. I was like,
the
somebody needs
name
to give this guy's
Underground
history
Railroad
degree.
makes me think of it though. But
Yeah. Um, as well to kind of add evidence to this theory, construction of the airport involved so much earth moving. A lot of people think it suggests there's something bigger underground. As well, apparently, former workers and whistleblowers have claimed that there's been strange underground activity.
define strange underground activity.
Digging. Lots of digging.
Okay.
A bunch of diggers in
Oh,
a hole.
I
I gotta be careful with how I say that because
I was
we
gonna
get
say
canceled.
All right, so okay,
Digging diggers.
okay.
That's what I said.
We know. There's just an awkward
Good.
silence. So
All
there
right.
you go. So some
So
strange
those are
underground
kind of
activity.
like what?
You got it.
Okay. Um, the next theory kind of we're moving a little bit away from that, and we're tying more into a theory of could the Denver airport predict the future?
Can it predict the future? Does this have to do with that what's it called, Lucifer thing, or no?
No, we haven't gotten to Lucifer yet. This
Okay,
could tie into the future world order or an apocalyptic event, though. That is foretelling the end times.
okay. I'm curious.
All right.
What
So throughout the airport, there are several murals. I'll send you pictures of them later. But these murals are said to depict war, genocide, and ecological collapse, maybe foreshadowing the end.
the murals at the Denver airport are depicting genocide.
Yep. Leo
What
Tenguma.
are the murals of? I am like really curious now.
All right.
Like,
Well, I'm going to tell you some. Okay. I got three of them. So this is made by an artist named Leo Tenguma. And one painting shows a gas mask soldier with a sword destroying cities and forests. Another one shows children mourning extinct animals and burning buildings. And then another one, eventually peace and unity, but only after the chaos. So it's kind of like this, and then like kind of like showing how the events will lay out.
I'm looking up the murals now, just out of curiosity, and I'm seeing a lot of them with peace and harmony.
Mhm.
But oh wait,
So
wait.
that's,
Okay, I see a fire and smoke. What the heck?
I told you.
Yeah, these are some weird murals.
I know, right?
Oh, okay. I see the guy with the gas mask and the sword and the gun. And why do they have this in an airport? Oh yeah, these are really weird. Yeah, people listening at home or watching online, I would encourage you to go look up Denver airport murals. But
Yeah, it's strange. And the thing is, Tenguma has come out and stated that they're not supposed to depict that. They're actually supposed to depict humanity moving from darkness to light, a message of hope and not doom. But it's just really weird that we've got the New World Order, and then we're talking about these murals that like could foreshadow the end.
yeah, no, these are definitely odd for sure. So
All right, fourth theory, and this one actually will be tying into next week's episode.
oh yeah,
Yep, we've got runway swastikas.
oh boy. All right, let
So apparently, the way the runways are laid out, when you look at it from an aerial view, they look like a swastika.
This sounds like some middle schooler's practical joke, but like I'm just imagining whoever built the Denver airport, like this engineer, he's like, you know what the world's biggest prank would be? If I designed this airport to look like a swastika when you're flying over it. I'm just like,
So apparently, the reason for this is like the layout does have a swastika-like symmetry. It's not perfect, but it does look like a swastika. And apparently, conspiracy theorists link this to Nazi symbolism and authoritarian regimes, saying that maybe the Nazis are hiding out in underneath the Denver airport, planning fascist schemes.
yeah, sheesh. Yeah, I'm
Um,
looking at Picture. Okay, so it's kind of like a swastika. It's not exactly, but I definitely do see it for sure.
It looks like a swastika.
Yeah. Some of the lines are a little bit longer, but yeah, it looks like one. Yeah.
So they try to say that it's for optimal wind coverage and traffic flow, not for sinister symbols, but sure,
Yeah.
whatever you say. We know you're hiding Hitler. We know he's frozen underneath the Denver airport.
Yeah.
Dude, could you like? So that's not obviously a theory that I have, but could you imagine if like when we talk next week, it's like Hitler actually is frozen underneath the Denver airport, and he's going to be the one to lead the New World Order?
Dude, that would be a crazy comeback.
The Nazis get a hold of nukes and wipe out everyone except for the blonde hair, blue eyes, and Hitler emerges from the Denver airport as the ruler of the New World Order.
Zombie Hitler coming back.
Well, he wouldn't be zombie because they cryo froze him.
Yeah, yeah, that's fair. Frozen Hitler. We're saying Hitler.
Uh,
I wonder if this is going to affect our. I wonder if YouTube's going to keep this video up or not.
well, if that's the problem, then we've got to figure out what we're going to do for next week.
I think we should be okay. I mean, lots of people talk about Hitler. They just talk about like a historical way, which is what we're doing.
That's what we're talking about.
Okay, anyway.
Now the last theory is about Blucifer. Blucifer is the 32-foot tall blue horse statue with glowing red eyes, officially called the Blue Mustang. And he stands outside the Denver airport, and people think he's a harbinger of doom, and he's a cursed figure guarding the airport's secrets.
I'm looking at a picture of him now, and like, yeah, this is a really weird statue to have. Like, like why? Like, you could have built any type of art outside of this airport, and instead you have this.
Yeah. So apparently the reason, so there are glowing red eyes, which people think look intentionally menacing. The guy who created it before he passed away, he said the reason why he chose that route was because his father owned a neon sign shop and he wanted to honor his dad.
Okay, just gave it creepy glowing red. You just gave it creepy glowing red eyes. Like, what in the world?
Well, don't worry, the statue killed him.
What?
So, according to my research, the statue killed its creator, artist Luis Jimenez, when a piece fell and severed an artery.
Oh my gosh! Wait, so was this after it was finished?
Let me check. I believe so. That's at least what my research pointed me to, whether he got killed.
A piece fell off of the statue onto him, cut his artery, and he died.
Yep, here he is.
Lucifer has actually killed somebody.
Industrial accident during his construction.
Creator. Oh my goodness.
Yep,
That's
right here.
freaky stuff.
Blood loss from an artery severed when a piece of blue Mustang fell on him. That's the name of the statue.
That's insane. Oh my goodness. Wow.
Like this is literally like on his Wikipedia page.
Golly. Okay. Well, maybe there is something to these conspiracy theories. I don't know.
Who knows? So yeah. And then people say that looking at the statue kind of and seeing it, it kind of gives you this unsettling feeling of evil energy and makes people unsettled by it.
Well, honestly, if I'm looking at that thing, I'm going to be feeling unnerved for sure.
Yeah. Now here's the cool thing about all these theories. The Denver airport has not shied away.
Wait, say it again?
So, you know, and obviously people also, another theory, and I don't list on here, but kind of goes in the New World Order. People believe the Illuminati is also hidden underneath the Denver airport. And, but with Lucifer, the airport has actually kind of leaned into the legend that Lucifer is this demon horse. Because apparently they have him featured in a lot of promotional materials as part of its bizarre lore. So people were like, oh, Lucifer, he's the devil horse. He's doom and he killed his owner and it's crazy. And Denver's like, okay, bet we'll go off with that and we'll create propaganda.
Yeah. Sheesh. All right.
So another interesting thing about the Denver airport is that they don't shy away from these conspiracy theories.
They don't.
So you would think, like, if somebody's spreading false rumors about you, you would say those are wrong, those aren't true, get it away from me, get behind me, Satan.
Yeah.
Denver doesn't.
What do what do they do then? Do they just like promote it?
So they, during whenever they're renovating sections of the airport, they have their walls up so you can't really see what they're doing, but they put up signs and posters that jokingly say, "What are we building? A new area for the Illuminati?"
No way. That's so they just feed right into it.
Exactly. And they apparently have hosted conspiracy themed exhibits and they sell merchandise related to it.
I've said this before and I'll say it again. Capitalism is undefeated, so that's what they
Could,
got.
like, I mean, whether these theories are true, could it be really the Illuminati? Could it be the New World Order? Could it be housing some secret bunker? I think this is the biggest idea that you can do. Because imagine, like, you're building a secret bunker or something, right? And then everybody's like, "I know you're building a secret bunker." Oh, and then to throw them off the tracks, you create and merchandise off of it, and you go with it, and you're like, "Yeah, sure, man, we've definitely doing it." So then people think those people are crazy, and then people buy your merch, use the money, and you keep building your bunker. Genius idea.
Makes sense to me, man. So
That makes sense to me.
if I was trying to make a bunch of money and there's this conspiracy theory stuff happening near me, I'd be like, yeah, I'd capitalize off of it too.
Yeah. All right. So now I've got a story for us about me and Steven in the international airport.
There we go.
Okay.
Let's hear it, man. Let's see what they got for us.
We just decided to throw this in there to see what could happen, because as you guys know, we are hoping to at some point in the future release comic books. So could we see us fighting some CIA agents in the Denver airport? Who knows? All right. So here we go. Beyond the campfire, the secret beneath Denver International Airport. The Denver International Airport stood stark against the twilight sky, its white peaked roof jutting into the air like snow covered mountains or the tips of giant teeth. Will and Steven stood outside the main terminal, a rolling suitcase between them and a backpack full of audio gear slung over Steven's shoulder. "This airport gives me the creeps," Will muttered, adjusting his hat as a gust of wind swept past. Big old horse statue with glowing red eyes, giant murals of gas masked soldiers, underground tunnels nobody talks about. That ain't a recipe for a conspiracy. I don't know what it is. Stephen nodded, scanning the distant art installations through the haze. People have claimed this place is connected to the Illuminati, secret bunkers, government black sites. Some even think it's a command center for the end of the world. Will chuckled nervously. Well, that's a comforting thought. The two weren't here for a flight. They were here for answers, and they had a way in. Their contact, an ex-contractor who worked on the underground sections in the 90s, had left them an access badge and a crude map. Supposedly, it led to a hidden service elevator near the western terminal, one the public never saw. "Are you sure this is legal?" Will whispered as they approached a nondescript maintenance door. Steven smirked. "Nope." He scanned the badge. The door buzzed and clicked open. The hallway inside was sterile, eerily quiet, and cold. Too cold. As they descended deeper into the airport's restricted corridors, the lights grew dimmer. Pipes lined the ceiling, and a distant sound echoed. Things that didn't quite match footprints or machinery. Will glanced at Steven. "This feels more like a bunker than a basement." Steven checked the map. According to this, there's an old access tunnel below Concourse B. The contractor sealed it off years ago after strange incidences. Will raised an eyebrow. Strange? Like what? Missing workers, equipment failures. Some say they heard voices coming from behind the walls. Others, Stephen hesitated, claimed something was alive down here. Will stopped. "We're sure this isn't just one of those wild internet theories?" The lights overhead flickered. A sound came from up ahead, a dragging sound, like something heavy being pulled across concrete. The two stared into the darkness. Then a low hum vibrated through the floor, followed by a mechanical click. Stephen whispered, "Let's go." They found the tunnel behind a large storage unit. The entrance had been welded shut, but someone had pried it open again recently. The air inside the tunnel was stale and heavy. Their flashlights barely pierced the darkness. The walls were covered in strange markings, symbols etched into the concrete. Are these glyphs? Stephen muttered. Will squinted at one. Seems like something out of a cult book. They ventured deeper, past broken lights and rusted machinery. At the end of the tunnel, they found a massive steel door, half buried under dust and debris. In the center was a symbol neither of them recognized, a pyramid with a glowing eye, but his iris was shaped like a spiral. Will exhaled. Okay, that's new. Stephen reached out and touched the door, and it opened. Not all the way, just a hiss and a crack wide enough for them to slip through. Inside was a cavernous chamber. Walls of metal and glass stretched up into the darkness. Screens lined the walls, many broken, but still some glowing faintly. Maps, satellite feeds, unknown coordinates. At the center of the room stood a large pedestal. Upon it, a chair, strangely throne like. Around it were cables, some still humming, others long dead. Well, Stephen whispered, I think this is the command center. For what? Will asked, his voice creaking. Stephen turned toward one of the glowing screens. It showed the world, but certain areas pulsed red, marked, tagged, watched. Some kind of global tracking system. Will moved toward a nearby console and wiped off the dust. Underneath were words etched into the steel. New Dawn Command. And below it, in smaller print, initiated in the event of global collapse. Stephen's stomach dropped. This isn't just a theory. Will turned to face him. This airport, it's a bunker. Another screen flickered to life. A countdown. 6 digits, all zero, except one. It ticked down by one. What's that counting to? Will asked. Stephen stepped closer. I I don't know, but it's active. Behind them a door creaked open. They turned. A figure stood in the threshold, tall, covered in a dark uniform, its face obscured by a blank mirrored mask. Will reached for his flashlight. The figure didn't move. Stephen swallowed. Can we help you? No one answered. Then, a low voice from a speaker above them. You were not supposed to see this. Suddenly, alarms wailed. Red lights flashed. The countdown sped up. Will grabbed Stephen. Time to go. They sprinted down the tunnel, the pounding of boots echoing behind them. Whatever organization ran this place, Illuminati, military, something, they had been found. They burst through the old access door, barely making it to their car before the door slammed shut behind them. They didn't speak until they were well outside city limits, miles away from the glowing airport lights. Stephen's voice trembled. We found it. The truth. Will looked pale. Yeah, and it almost found us. Back in their motel room, Stephen transferred the footage from his camera. But the files were all corrupted. Every photo, every video, gone. Will sat on the bed, staring at the wall. Stephen looked up. You think they're still watching us? Will didn't blink. I know they are. And somewhere, back beneath the airport, a single screen still pulsed. 2 dots, tracked, tagged. Will and Stephen.
Look at that. Wow.
They're tracking us.
Hey, man, we stumbled onto their property. We're about to expose the New World Order. Hey, of course they'd want to keep an eye on us.
Why could I see us pissing off the New World Order?
Dude, I would not be surprised, man. I feel like we poke our heads in places we probably shouldn't. And yeah, I could see us accidentally setting off the world leaders of the Illuminati. So
The world gets nuked because Stephen and I pushed their plans into effect quicker than they wanted.
for sure, for sure.
So yeah, Stephen, what do you think? Do you think there could be something below the Denver airport? And what do you think it could be?
You know, I do wonder about the massive size of it. I'm just like, why does it have to be that big? And so at the very least has me thinking of like, could they be hiding something there? Maybe so, you know. So,
I don't know.
but
But
yeah, the sheer size of it alone makes me suspicious.
I think there could be something beneath it. I don't think there's a coincidence. I mean, having an airport that large, and then like the people, like the workers saying that there was large amounts of being moved and there was suspicious activity. It just now can you believe whistleblowers? Who knows? Sometimes they're telling the truth. Sometimes they just want publicity. But who knows? Maybe there is something beneath the Denver airport, and if there is, I think they're being very smart about how to go about it by luring us into this false sense of you guys aren't right, but we'll merchandise it. You know,
I like that a lot. So, hey, it's
who
who knows,
knows?
man? If I'm ever flying in Denver, maybe I'll have to poke around a little bit, or maybe you and me both fly to Denver, and maybe we poke around a little bit. Who knows? But
I know, right?
all right, well, hey, I'm really excited about next week's episode. So I've started some research on it, and yeah, it should be an interesting one.
I know. Sorry, I was trying to look up something because I had a really interesting way. Sorry.
No, yeah, you're good, man.
So
But
yeah, do you think it could be the Illuminati, or do you think it could be something else?
I don't know if it's the Illuminati per se, but I do feel like maybe the U.S. government is hiding something there. Because
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, the U.S. government hides lots of stuff from us. So you know, who's to say there's not something underneath this massive facility that is the Denver airport?
Sorry, I can't find what I wanted to do, but here we go. Well, thank you guys for watching. We appreciate everything you guys do. We appreciate you watching. We appreciate listening. Make sure you subscribe, like, comment, follow us on our socials and everything. And I don't got anything else. Do you, Steve?
Nope, that's it. So that'll
All
do it
right.
for this episode. You guys have a good morning, afternoon, evening, and we will catch you guys on the next one.
Yes, we will. So, mate, it be.